Hey, Nation, Harry here. You know what we're doing. We're back with the man, the virus doctor. Actually, I want to call him the antivirus doctor. I can't decide which is better, but the great trademark, Ken Dwight out of Houston, Texas. It's our monthly check-in with you. Hey, and we've got some meat on the bones this month. It's a topic we have surfaced at a fairly high level, but there's, as they say, more to the story. So Ken, if you could brief us about the 22 cities in Texas. You have the right to say I told you so, and we're going to double click into that. So first of all, let's level set. What's the story with the 22 cities in Texas for people that don't know?
Okay, about a month ago, I think it was August 17th, it was announced that 22 cities, mostly small towns in Texas, had been hit by ransomware.
Okay.
And it was, there weren't a whole lot of details released, and there's a state agency called the Texas Department of Information Resources that was serving as the point of contact, and they announced, well, it's that we're not revealing names of the cities or any more details about it, but we've got the FBI and the Department of Public Safety. There were about 10 different agencies that they had involved in the investigation. And over a period of the next few days, there was really nothing more definitive released about it. And then after 3 or 4 days, there was one town that said, well, we were one of the cities that got hit. And that was about all they had to say. And then another town said, well, us too. And then somewhere along the way, the part of the story came out that there was a demand for $2.5 million in ransom. Now, it didn't say that one of the cities got that demand. It was just the ransom was $2.5 million. And between that and just kind of connecting the dots and reading in between the lines, I said, you know, an MSP got hit that was serving all of these.
Yeah.
Now, I don't go out on the limb and make predictions very often, but it happens that, as you know, I do a monthly webinar myself.
You do. You do.
October 5th, I predicted that it's going to come out that one MSP was the source of this ransomware infection. And as you know, in the last few days, a couple of articles have come out, one in well, I guess they just call it CRN now, formerly Computer Reseller News. CRN had a very good article.
On screen too at your advice. Please continue.
Well, they did identify the MSP, and you know, there's some people that just really shouldn't be in this business.
Yeah.
And I don't like to throw stones, and I also don't like the people that are giving us all a black eye to be out there still doing it. And so I won't identify this person or this company, but they're not hard to identify now.
Well, they're in the CRN article, if I'm reading correctly on screen number 2. And I appreciate your diplomacy. You're a scholar and a whatever the old saying. I don't know if you're a sipper of fine whiskey, but you're a scholar, my friend. And but you know, this changes the conversation because you have on more than one occasion talked about the one-to-many nature of an MSP being a attack vector, right, to a channel of customers. And you know, the bad guys are smarter than we think. I've always said that. You know, say what you must about Colombian drug lords and all that nonsense, but they are not dumb people. Okay.
Well, as the saying goes, in the security industry, we've got to be right 100% of the time. They only have to be right once.
Yeah, exactly. And
as you say, the one-to-many relationship, they figured out that if they can hit one MSP that has, now one thing that we haven't quite gotten all the details on is, according to this article, this MSP has something like 300 clients, and only 22 of them got hit. I don't understand why that's the case. So there's more that we don't know yet.
Yeah, and it raises a conversation, and folks, we're going to include the URL to the article in the blog beneath, so you can form your own opinion. It involves a popular PSA product, an MSP. There are some other. It's actually quite a good article. There are some other examples in our space, but Ken, it raises a big issue, and let me throw this out here that. Several years ago, I was involved in we had a startup at SMB Nation, basically a brand extension in 2014 to capitalize on the Windows XP migration madness, April of 2014. And we teamed with work market out of New York, a labor market platform. So the idea was to create a labor market with the SMB Nation membership and say, hey, Ken, I've got a gig for you, man. 13 nursing homes in the Houston area need to get off XP for a lot of reasons, right? I mean, we can recount all the HIPAA and the this and the that, or security concerns. But Ken, would you like a gig? 13 nursing homes over the course of a week, get them some new laptops and take them up to 7, 8, whatever your flavor. At that point, 8. And my insurance broker, so I'll get to the point. My commercial lines insurance broker out of Portland, Oregon said, don't you dare get too heavy into the labor market. He said, the liability is unbelievable, right? I'm going to have a very different conversation with you on commercial liability, because what if one of your temps, let's just say it's a temp assignment. What if one of your temps is naughty or misbehaves out on a site? The contingent liability you open up is something you don't want to deal with. He said, you want to become a lead gen firm, right? So rather than myself essentially contract through you and bill the client and you get 60% of the take, I get a 40% markup. He said, just sell Ken the lead, right? Ken, here's a lead for some nursing homes. Ken would say, fine, because of the liability. The point I'm getting at is when I hear these stories of an MSP being hit and a contingent liability that opens them up to, regardless of what you have on paper in the contract, Ken, I don't want to be in this line of work.
Well, I assume that MSP is still in business, but I wish they weren't. I don't wish anybody bad, but as I say, this is a bad actor and not helping any of us, and certainly with the liability of millions of dollars that have been lost. I'll go ahead and tell you another part of the story. By the way, my lights have gone out, so that's why things are different here, and I assume I've got enough battery life in the laptop to keep us going for as long as we need to.
You have some storms down there in Houston.
Yeah, it's raining again today, so I assume that's what I'm leading up to is that it turns out this same MSP, one of the cities that got hit this time, had actually been hit in November of last year.
Oh.
And it was a police department, and the MSP paid the ransom.
Yeah.
And as part of that, the police department separately contracted with their own offsite backup service. This time around, when they got hit, the backups the MSP was doing were encrypted.
Yeah.
And fortunately, the town is Kaufman, Texas, and they had their other backup providers, so they were able to restore. But one more example of what a lousy job the MSP was doing for them.
Yeah, and again, I'll end on this, is that, I fancy myself an armchair investor, like the XP migration labor market, just little ideas, and we see if they work. And when you look at the threat matrix of the MSP as a channel to customers, and you look at the nonsense going on in MSP mergers and acquisitions right now, the window's open. There's silly money flying around and MSPs are being snapped up. As an investor, I'm out, as they say on Shark Tank. I'm out because I don't need the headache. I don't need the contingent liability. You know what I mean? There are safer, fish farms in Alaska. There's something else I can do.
So what are you doing in Austin? Not a caribou farm, but what's your venture in Austin?
Llama. Yeah. I'm a snowbird in Austin. Thank you. In fact, you and I will do 1 or 2 segments from Austin this winter, so we'll be together. And as I'll end on this, Ken, as they say on the famous advertisement, keep the lights on.
Any minute now, we hope.
There we go. Well, sir, have a good month. We'll talk to you next month. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. Look forward to it.